So, absolutely massive developments in the musconomy as speculation is speaking about a possible merger of SpaceX with XAI. There's also talk about a SpaceX merger with Tesla. It all happened in the past 24 hours. It was foreshadowed by this sneaky post from Elon saying, all my exes live in Texas. I have Brian Wang with me, as well as Micic, on a journey down this incredible rabbit hole. Brian is a futurist thought leader and runs the prominent science blog nextbigfuture.com. Pero is the founder and CEO of Future Management Group and is based in Germany. Welcome, gentlemen. Amazing times we live in.
Yes.
Quick roundup from each of you. What do you make of what's happened in the past 24 hours?
So the various news that happened was that up until yesterday, SpaceX was heading to an IPO, and I think it's still heading to an IPO. The reason for the IPO is to make AI data centers in space. Google, NVIDIA, StarCloud, all these companies have confirmed that this works. We've already launched an NVIDIA H100 into space in a satellite that's been done by StarCloud, and it works. So people can debate, aspects about the satellites and stuff, but SpaceX has 10,000 satellites up in orbit now, and they have computer chips in them, and they work. So people who have done the most, 70% of all satellites, they're telling you this technically will work. And Google has confirmed that it'll work. They published it in a paper that it will work. Okay, so that's when they realized we can take regular chips, regular memory, put them into a satellite, launch them, and then we can have AI data in space, and it will be cheaper than ground-based AI data centers. Cheaper, and we can build them 10 times faster, right? And again, this is made by statements by the people who have made the most AI data centers on the ground now. So someone who's made both satellites and AI data centers is telling you this is faster and will be cheaper. Okay. Anyway, so then we're doing SpaceX IPO, talking about $1.5 trillion valuation, talking about raising $50 billion, maybe it's $100 billion, but $50 billion. So yesterday they say they're going to maybe merge XAI with SpaceX. Two private companies would then merge together to become one company. The reason being, if everything is about AI data centers in space, and that's going to be the huge value, then you want the builder of the AI data center and the operator of the AI to be together, right? I want to, because SpaceX builds all the satellites, puts in the chips, and then launches them, but they aren't the one running an AI that will be making the money. Not running the ChatGPT, not running the Grok, not running the Claude. Okay, so that's XAI. If you have them separate, then SpaceX is making money, and then before the operation of the satellites, they're paying taxes because, hey, I'm profitably launched something, I'm paying taxes on it, right? But if it's one company, just like Starlink, they launch the satellites, they operate the satellites, they do it all in one, right? If they do it separately, I'm paying taxes here, and then I run it, and then I pay taxes there, right? If I pay one big happy company, then I build it, I launch it, I don't pay taxes till you, the customer, pays me for the AI. So this is what that's about. This is about I end up making 5-10% more on margin.
Okay,
so this
very
is
quickly.
a financial.
Do you think it's the SpaceX XAI merger or the SpaceX Tesla merger? Or do you think
it'll be both?
Room for both. Okay, both.
No, not room for both. It will be. It has to happen. Okay. So SpaceX
sequentially,
private
not at the same time, right?
Sequentially, SpaceX XAI merge, right? In order to get the thread, just like X and XAI merged. So
After
SpaceX and XAI merge. What?
After SpaceX lists.
No, before SpaceX lists. SpaceX XAI merge, then they IPO, then the IPO pop and everything. Because in order for you to do a deal, the companies must vote for it. The shareholders must vote for it. Yes, Elon owns a lot of the company, but the majority of the shareholders must vote for the transactions. Right? He owns the majority of XAI. He can force XAI in. He owns 40% of SpaceX, so he has to get at least 10% of the people to agree that they're going to do it. Right? So they have to, again, this is financial business stuff. The two entities must vote for it. Right? So he'll convince them this is a good deal, and because it's two private companies, we have a recent valuation. I raised in December, you raised in January. We have valuation numbers. So then we go based on those valuation numbers about how we're going to do it. Because hey, we just raised money. The private markets are telling us this is how much each is worth, right? So we did two transactions within the last 30, 60 days. And so this is a number that we're coming together at. We vote for it, and then we do it. And then we IPO, right? Because SpaceX shareholders are not going to vote for something where they don't IPO. You were telling them they're going to IPO, and they're going to triple their money, right? They're not going to say, let's not triple our money. They're not going to do that. Right?
So hang on.
I still want triple.
Yeah, we were all thinking that it would be somewhere along the lines of $45 to $50 billion. But if SpaceX merges with XAI, then that values that the money raised is going to be, I don't know, how many multiples?
I'm not sure how much more money they raise because of that. I just know that the sequence is the two private companies merge. They IPO, they raise the money. It's valued at whatever it values at. The market, the public markets treat it as whatever they treat it at, right? And then, they end up with a number. They raise some money, and the IPO, the stock moves up. So that's the sequence first. Then Tesla and SpaceX. So
you're saying now post IPO, there's a possibility that SpaceX merges with Tesla.
Yes, they will then merge together with Tesla. Again, the same logic applies. Tesla is making the AI5, AI6, AI8 chips, right? And they can apparently make memory too, right? So they're making chips, right? And then this is for AI data centers in space, right? So if they're separate, again, SpaceX or XAI has to pay for the chips. And again, Tesla makes a profit that must be taxed, right? Right? They make a profit that must be taxed, right? Before you're, maybe a year before, or I'm making the money by operating the satellites that are using this thing, right? So I don't want to pay the taxes until, again, I'm making the money, right? And I don't want to pay taxes twice, here and there, right? I want to pay it just once, right? So then Tesla and SpaceX need to merge. So that the two public companies, the markets are saying SpaceX is worth this, Tesla is worth that, right? We have some kind of actual numbers between the two companies. Now they can merge together because whatever the swap ratio is based on today, on July 1, when we do this thing, the ratio will be whatever we're trading at. Right. So there's no question about, well, you gave that guy a better deal, private deal by some kind of backroom cigar smoking deal. Right. It's public market. So again,
because this will be
markets,
a behemoth, and there will be concerns about monopolistic behavior and all sorts of that. Let's take a pause. I want to get Pero in. Pero, what do you make of all of this? So I know, like me and like many others, and Brian, of course, in the Tesla investing community, I could bet you're probably maxed out on Tesla, like me. And so there's been so much of speculation that, people have been, we've been going crazy literally over the past few months, right? Ever since the shareholder meeting. And Elon made some comments, which I will play out in a response to Alexander Merz. But we kind of, somewhere along the way, recently in the past month or so, it kind of, all that speculation died down. But we're seeing it emerge now. What is your sense of what's going on?
Well, I subscribe to the sequence that Brian described, which is what was being reported yesterday, thought about yesterday, which is first the merger between XAI and SpaceX, and then through exchange of shares, maybe between Tesla and SpaceX. As an investor, I love it since that's a good way to have a part of SpaceX and XAI. And Elon Musk has promised to take care of long-term Tesla shareholders. So he seems to be keeping that promise. I'm not sure if this is a tax reason, because you're free to set any prices you want, so you can optimize the prices to minimize the tax burden. Knowing that being public is a pain in the ass for anybody, the only reason that I see that he takes SpaceX public is first money. That might be a reason. He could have raised money otherwise, I guess. The second is control of Tesla, and faster control of Tesla than through the bonus that he gets, the trillion in maybe 5 years or 10 years, because now with the high valuations of XAI and SpaceX, the math works. So if he puts them all together, he has more than 25%, is like 30% or something of Tesla. That's the primary motive that I see. Otherwise, he would not take those companies public, because it's way easier and better and faster to be a private company. Again, as an investor, I love it. Most Tesla investors will love it. Not sure if it's really strategically necessary to make all those business ideas come true, because space centers and data centers in orbit would work, the chip fab would work. Of course, it's easier if you have it within the company, but there are two major issues. The one is there might be initiatives when, for example, the Democrats in the United States take over the rule again.
Inevitably.
For Elon, for whatever kind of reasons. And the second is, not sure if China loves the idea of one company having their cars driving around in the country, and at the same time running Starlink and maybe other military projects. So these are two issues that I see. Not sure about how it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, these are very important geopolitical issues, and we've seen Starlink face problems with download licenses. China is one of the countries that has outright not given it to Starlink. India has delayed Starlink for many years. I think finally it's kind of going to happen almost there right now, though the last mile connectivity in that deal has to be done. There's so many African countries also where Starlink has kind of not been given permission to the downlink license. So yeah, I mean, it's a reality. I think the biggest challenge is to balance the excitement and potential of the numbers and what this means as not a I don't know if you call it a conglomerate eventually, but that with the geopolitics of it and the reality of everything. Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, sorry.
We hear so many people complain, talk, fear the power of all those tech bros and particularly Elon Musk with 700 billion, soon to be a trillionaire, and that's gonna boost those concerns, of course.
Unfortunately, and a lot of that is misguided and just uninformed opinion, because people don't want to do the hard work to understand what's going on.
No, it's easy to blame someone for being that rich
and successful,
fortunately rich. It's all about this old notion of a fixed pie, and what he has to have taken from somebody. There's no understanding of the economy being dynamic and the pie growing, right?
Yeah. Okay, I want to quickly play out this very interesting soundbite. This is Tesla Boomer Marmer. Alexander Mertz had asked him a question, and this is, of course, responding to all the speculation, saying, "I promise I knew nothing." Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. This was at the shareholder meeting, November 2025. Nor do I know anything now, but that end of the question. Let's listen to it, then we can come back.
Organize a bigger venue. We're bigger than Berkshire and we will do better than Berkshire.
Okay, sure.
And we can pay. Like if
Yeah. Actually, Tesla will be way, way, way bigger than Berkshire long term. It's going to be kind of nutty. All right, we'll do the next one. Maybe we'll do it in the maybe the downtown arena or the soccer stadium or something like that.
and get your security check. We want to make sure that you're safe.
What if I just bob and weave?
But we want a party, and
Okay.
if you can bring the other Elon companies there as well,
Okay.
investors would really appreciate it.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much for listening to this.
All right.
I think the point that Tesla Boomer Mama Alexander was trying to point out was the reference to the other companies, all the other companies being there, the Tesla shareholder meeting. And that was Elon, in what he said, was signposting something there. I don't know if we're reading too much into it, but you can't help but read, the breadcrumbs along the way. Quickly, your take, gentlemen, both of you.
I mean, Elon
Yeah,
said
well,
just recently, somehow all my companies are converging. That was already signaling. Again, if I had to decide from a strategic and risk management perspective, I would keep them separate. But again, as shareholders, it's a totally different story. So you love it because you don't have access to SpaceX or XAI. But from again, entrepreneurial standpoint, keeping them separate and cooperating very intensively is perfectly doable.
So I would say you can make arguments for both. That's why it wasn't, up until the discussion got serious, it wasn't certain that they would come together. But now that it appears that discussions are serious, then you would ask, well, why are they seriously considering it? And I think that they see efficiencies. The two things that matter are, actually, the one thing that matters most is speed and scale. If I can come together and do speed and scale better, then there's just more money, right? If I can do it faster, again, there's more money. So whatever the dynamics are that achieve faster speed and scale, that is the action that they will take, right? That Elon will take. If I can do it 2 years faster and get to 100 gigawatts a year faster, I will do what it takes to get me 2 years faster, right? And then I think there's argument that can make for efficiencies. There's argument to make for the other side about risks and other things. Like you can still do it. The question is, can you do it faster and can you do it more efficiently? I think the faster and scale might work out better than that. But again, going into details about the discussion about like why, right? But I think they've come to the conclusion, Elon's come to the conclusion that if they do this deal, merge the pieces together, is because he thinks it can be faster. Not because it'd be better for shareholders, that's nice, but the key reason is, however he analyzes it, I can do some huge goal faster if I do it this way. Faster and bigger, right? So that's, I think, the driving thing for him. And for people who say, well, certain things could happen, I can just, make it all with cash and I'll raise money or do whatever. One, they don't necessarily understand how insanely big this is going to get, and then how many factories, how many things that have to get built. So, and then he knows how much it is. He knows how much money he'll need to have it. Like right now, the XAI build is faster than anyone else. They raise money, like $10, $20 billion, and then they get debt on top of that.
Yeah.
They get another 60 billion on top of the 20 billion that they made, right? So, and they didn't even make it, they raised it, right? So then if I'm raising and putting cash and I'm still getting debt, right? To build something even bigger, 100 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger, right? The numbers, become jaw-dropping as to how much it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening.
Yeah. Okay, I want to bring this up from him. So he says, I've mentioned something like this before, but if any of my companies goes public, We will prioritize other long-time shareholders of my other companies, including Tesla. Loyalty deserves loyalty.
Elon does stuff to make sure all his shareholders are good. So besides the Tesla shareholders, you saw that when he merged Solar City into Tesla. The Solar City shareholders were getting hurt, and he made sure they came out at least even. When he bought Twitter at $44 billion, and then it was down to $10 or $20 billion, he merged that in with XAI, and they were at $44 billion. So
for the record, he could have given some sort of an opportunity for shareholders. I don't know how he would have done that, but retail shareholders who didn't want to give up surrender their stock in that.
Can't save everyone. So he saved the majority of the shareholders.
Don't be so brutal, Brian. Have a heart.
I'm just saying, he does what he can. Anyway,
Yeah.
so he did it for Solar City. He did it for X, Twitter, and then now he's doing it for Tesla shareholders. And so again, it's a broad category. He does it once. Can't get too complicated, but this method is going, if it happens, will be far better than anything that I thought would have been possible. I thought, like maybe they do some like investment thing and do some small, like Tesla invest in XAI and they do a little piece, or in the IPO, they say, okay, give some allocation, 10, 20%, where basically if you have an account at Fidelity, they would say, here, 200 shares, we're going to give you priority, because they give priority to their best customers. So they can say, make sure your best customers include Tesla shareholders, right? That would have been the mechanism that I could see. But this mechanism is, to Pero's point, even bigger.
Yeah, and it saves Tesla shareholders from losing money, because many people would sell Tesla shares just to buy SpaceX shares, which would be the opposite of what was intended. But
then when SpaceX rockets, you can just sell some of that and
of course
buy Tesla.
When and if.
But then, but I like this option better, to be honest.
And the other thing is that you don't have to actually pay out cash. Like in some of the other scenarios, you still have to come up with the cash, and many may not have had the cash to do it. And it's like, just hold your shares, and then you get your piece without having to lay out cash. You get, the dilution, other crap like that going on. But if you wanted it, here it is.
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious solution and option was that Tesla buys shares from SpaceX, but it wouldn't add any money to the whole. So that's why they're doing it that way. Otherwise, we in Europe or somewhere outside the United States would have feared we're going to be excluded from this opportunity, because they don't know who owns the shares, right? So when we try to vote our shares with
always a problem.
Stock options and whatever, most of us can't. They just don't offer the service,
which is ridiculous.
It is.
It's so unfair. Okay, I want to bring this up now. So this is Aaron Burnett, and Brian, you know him well. Aaron says if this is true, CapEx expenditure aligns, Space XAI narrative aligns, will be funny to see analysts try to wrap their heads around the revenue lines from X, Grok, Starlink, and Launch. So, I mean, it's going to be, of course, Aaron is with Mark 33, and they're famous for the modeling of the SpaceX valuation, 2030 valuation that they brought out with ARC last year, was it, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, how do you look at valuing an entity? Let's go step by step. Just SpaceX and XAI together as one entity. And then when it merges with Tesla, how do you value it, and what happens to the value for shareholders?
A proper valuation would require people who understand space launch, satellites, communications, AI, and current AI and future AI, as well as autonomy, right? I'm someone like that, but most people are not. So, and then most people who are covering Tesla are not, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get the people who are covering NVIDIA, who understand it deeply, people who understand Google deeply. Those are the kind of people you have to bring in to do the valuation, right? And it will take some time. But this will become potentially, even by the end of this year, sorry, probably next year. I don't think the merger with Tesla and SpaceX can happen next year. By the end of next year, they're the biggest company in the world, right? By valuation. They're big, SpaceX,
But
SpaceX,
SpaceX, when it lists, automatically will be the biggest, right?
No, I think it goes to 3 trillion, but it won't be bigger than NVIDIA, right? You have to have a few more things happen bigger than NVIDIA. But $3 trillion company, and then Tesla with Robotaxi becomes a $3 trillion company. You have $3 trillion company go to 6 trillion, then you're bigger than NVIDIA, right? So that happens, and then how can you have sloppy people, analysts who don't understand all the business covering it at that point, right? That would make no sense. Just like right now, you have some people at a pretty big company not fully understanding Tesla covering it, right? So it will take some time to get a proper valuation, and it will lag, right? Because people don't really fully understand. They won't fully get it. Just like it took how many years before the analysts figured out Amazon Web Services and cloud. It took a while, right? It took like 5 years for them to figure it out. And then they had to like spoon feed them. And then they finally got it. Okay, now I get it, right? So it will take time to do it.
Yeah.
But the execution will be clear. They'll understand the money. They'll read the financial statement and they'll see, oh yeah, you're growing like this. And then when they give them guidance saying, hey, we're going to grow double next year, they'll understand that, right?
Yeah.
And they'll discount it. So it'll be a discounting and they kind of like follow along.
Yeah, which is why I say it again and again that this Q4 earnings call of Tesla was so important. It was so historic because for the first time, even Wall Street analysts, and it was evident in the number of analyst questions about AI and robotics and autonomy and all of that, that Tesla is no longer a car company, just a car company. It's official, right? But it's taken them so long.
And the saddest thing about it was the discontinuation of Model S and X.
Oh yeah,
because that's sad.
Hey, but at least we get Optimus.
Yeah, sure. It's a good use of the property, but it's sad.
Yeah. Okay. I quickly want to bring this on because Brian, we got to get onto your slides as well. But this is something that we've been talking about in the past. The X phone. And Elon responded saying, Andrew quote, said Starlink phone would be so sick. Elon says not out of the question at some point. It would be a very different device than current phones, optimized purely for running max performance /watt neural nets. And we've heard Elon talk about this possibility and what such a device would look like on the Joe Rogan podcast as well. Brian, you and I have done so many chats about this. It's kind of after the Google Gemini deal with Apple, I think Elon saw the circumstances that he had talked about in the past about monopolistic tendencies and unfair practices. And then maybe this is now helping him solidify his kind of decision. What do you think?
I think if people who are old enough to remember, before the iPhone came out, they asked Steve Jobs, "Are you gonna make a phone? Are you gonna make an Apple phone?" No. I'm not gonna make an Apple phone. That's not gonna happen. And then the day comes, they make an Apple phone, right? So I think it's the same deal. So he's gonna make an AI enabled phone. It's gonna happen, especially with this merger. I think when it all comes together, it will definitely happen. It won't be the most important thing, right? Because the most important thing is AI data centers in space.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm going to deliver AI data center in space, the AI, to all kinds of devices. Right. It's going to come down from the satellite. It's going to go to all kinds of devices. Right. It'll be a explosion of many devices. right? So it's going to come to your car, it's going to come to your bot, it's going to come to your home, and everything, right? So there'll be many, many devices, right? And it's going to happen. So yeah.
As soon as there is a danger of mobile access being inhibited by either the carriers or the hardware manufacturers, then there would be a strategic reason to build an edge device, whatever it will be. Will it be a phone? Well, if it's in the near future, it might be something like a phone. If it's in the medium-term future, it might be some different form factor. But that would be a reason to close that gap and to have the last immediate connection to the consumer.
Yeah, of course. Again, what that would represent would be taking on the entire terrestrial and legacy telecom operators around the world in one go. That's not going to be pretty or easy or without its geopolitical risks. But hey, it's Elon. All right, so let's move on. Brian, you've got a slide deck for us. Let me just bring that up. If you could just quickly take us through that, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so all of these things, people who know the Singularity, Ray Kurzweil talked about AI would become better than human, and then Singularity means it's a black hole, and then you can't understand once you pass through the other side, right? I would say that we're now fully, as AI data and space are built, we're fully in the Singularity, right? But so we're in it, but you actually can see things that are happening. You don't fully, most people don't fully understand what's happening, but you can discern what's happening as things go on. So satellites and then humanoid bot is Singularity now, as well as the Grok and the other things. So I'm saying it's trillions per year for decades of AI data centers. So this can double the economy every 4 years. I'm not even talking about how much leverage you get from really productive AI. I'm just talking, just building it at the scale that we're talking about can increase the economy hugely with over 18% growth per year. So my credentials. So I talk about defining technological singularity, which AI or not AI, as extra doublings, extra GDP growth doublings. So since World War II, we've been growing at 25% per year. That's at 3% GDP growth average worldwide. And then, but we see we'll change technology. So we get extra doublings, you go up in speed. So the Atlanta Fed is showing that we're at 5.4% now. In January, they're recording 5.4% GDP growth. This is not from AI profits per se, but it's from the AI build and from the infrastructure build that's happening. You have this bump up as you measure it. And it can likely be 5 to 6 to 7% this year just from all this spending. China had 10% per year from 1980 to 2010, right? So they had the equivalent of some kind of like accelerated growth relative to the rest of the world. So then here's a table going over the doubling. So the base level, nothing happening, is about the 3%. We double. So from 2025 to 2050, no acceleration. We would expect the world economy, after accounting for inflation, to be a double. We go from $100 trillion to $200 trillion. But if we have extra doubling in the 25 years, we go up 4 times. We go to $400 trillion, and we have roughly 6% GDP growth. And then if we could go up 8 times, you need to go at 9%, and then up to 18%, where you get 64 times more growth over 25 years. But this, people say, well, this is insane. It only happened in China. That doesn't count. World War II, this is the United States. If you look in 1942, 19% GDP growth. That was from military mobilization. The US doubled the number of factories in the United States, doubled the production of factories in World War II in order to make tanks and planes and ships. So from 1941 to 1943, 17 to 19% GDP growth. Okay, just from building stuff that was not profitable. I'm building stuff and then being blown up in war. right? But I'm building stuff and I'm spending 40% of my economy. So just from the largest infrastructure build in the world, you can get to 18% GDP growth. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA, said AI data centers will be the largest infrastructure build in the world. So this getting to 18% before the thing happening can get us to 18% GDP growth, which people who haven't experienced that, you can feel it. Emulated digital humans is something that XAI is talking about, where they leverage the chip inside a Tesla car, AI4, 10 times the compute of a laptop. They're going to make that into emulated digital humans. Kind of like Claude bot or modal bot, whatever they changed the name to, on steroids, right? So doing the work yourself, having millions of humans, this could be at the end of this year. This is, again, a combination of XAI and Tesla. Tesla having the chips in cars, and they'll have chips in cars and bots, working with XAI to deliver a joint product of emulated digital humans, right? This is attacking a white-collar market of $6 trillion a year, okay? So that is what this growth happening in the Tesla bot Optimus. Also, there's some aspects of more data to get to higher growth. Anyway, so and it can leave other slides. But basically, just from, one, it shows the companies working together, XAI and Tesla, XAI and SpaceX, all three together. They're doing all these huge things, doing all white-collar labor, doing stuff against all labor, doing stuff against all AI. So they're making the entire world AI digital. And the spending that they will have, will be comparable to the US spend in World War II in terms of percentage of economy. And then if you sustain it, it just keeps going. Especially if I can make it profitable, then I never have to stop. If I make it profitable, I never stop. And then it's like I'm constantly running at this high level.
Two questions.
Yeah.
This is infrastructure training build out, right?
Right.
It's not inference.
No,
and
no, it is inference. No, it is inference.
Okay.
It's actually inference first, because the Google studies show inference can handle the error rate of the radiation in space. If I have in space, it's 1 in 10 million errors. I can software handle it, inference first. But there will be a training solution as well. Maybe I have to put it on the moon and bury it. But they will solve it.
Yeah. And in the case of Tesla, it's going to be the same chip, right?
Same chip. That's right. Or they may make a version that's very similar to this Dojo 3, because Dojo 3 is back on. Right.
Second question, you did not include the productivity increases through this build-up, right? This is on top of that. Right.
On productivity increases is on top of just insane build-out. I'm just saying we can go to 18% on insane build-out. A more moderate thing, which is what ARK investors talking about, at 7% or 10%, that is like the Korean War mobilization. The Korean War, I didn't show it was on the chart there, but I didn't go over it, it reached a peak of 13%. It lasted for 3 years. 13%, 8%, 8%. So that level of mobilization can get you to this. And we're already kind of knocking on the door with the Fed saying 6%, 7%, 8%. So
I got another question, if I may.
Sure.
I was thinking about that notion. Of course, you have 24/7 sunlight there. You don't need any batteries, or at least no major ones. Cooling is radiation. And then I heard several people say it's 3 degrees Kelvin out there, but actually it's not 3 degrees Kelvin. So if you if my research results were right, it's -100 and something degrees Celsius up to a couple of 100 degrees Celsius in a short period of time. Even if you have even if you always face the sun and have the radiation in the back.
Right. So you have to have it behind. You have some kind of like reflective mirror thing that
Right.
would, you put your radiator behind it. But they've done that already. The satellites, the strong satellites up there now,
Yeah.
operate at 10 to 20 kilowatts. So I just make it 10 times bigger. So whatever I'm doing now at 10 to 20 kilowatts, which is likely two-phase aluminum radiator, right? So you have liquid and gas ammonia, liquid gas ammonia. That is the cooling system. So there is operating cooling systems there now. For physics, it doesn't matter what I'm running. I'm running chips, I'm running communication, whatever I'm running there. I need to then get rid of the heat at the kilowatt level, 10 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt, whatever. So it works at that level. 100, 200 kilowatts works on the International Space Station. It just costs a bunch. So this all works. They can do it. It's already operating.
Tesla's got some brilliant patents in the past 4 or 5 years, which technology that is already deployed on the Starlink satellites for this very purpose. And
So to your point,
I'll bring those links in the description below the video when it's published. So
I bring my shade and then I radiate the heat out the back.
Yeah.
So it's solar panels on one side, a little barrier, the radiator system, and then so sunlight in, heat out.
Yeah, and one of the biggest problems with a heat sink or dissipating heat through radiation in space has always been the engineering of it, where the heat source is a bit far away from the fins that radiate that energy into space. But I think they've done a lot of work to kind of bring the source immediately next to the point of radiation. And all of this is in the patents. So it's really interesting to see. What fascinates me is that the solutions to the problems that we're thinking of now, Tesla's been working on them for so many years. And we're only now realizing and understanding and putting the pieces together and saying, oh, they've already solved it way back. And it's fascinating to study Tesla's patents. And as we progress, as we, hopefully, maybe we could bring this up next Friday and talk about this, the technology, because we'll have a few others to join us. But it's absolutely fascinating that just the science and engineering behind all of these solutions. It's not just the numbers, it's not the economics, it's just pure engineering, which is brilliant. So 2 questions now to both of you gentlemen. And Pero, especially you, because you're sitting in Europe, which has its own unique set of socioeconomic political circumstances. What Brian is describing, if the musconomy and Elon's companies can get anywhere close to it, forget America. We're talking about global dominance at a scale that is unprecedented. What does that do to geopolitical equations? What does that do to social upheaval and societies and the future of work? And you've done a lot of work on, I think the last time we chatted, you had done some modeling where you had worked out that by 2030, it would cost, robot labor would cost about $13 to $14 an hour, right? So put this in perspective for us, please, with your research and your analysis that you've been doing.
The $14 per hour was under very, very cautious assumptions. It soon is going to be 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. So it's going to be a lot cheaper as soon as scale begins. And that might be at any point in time in the next couple of years. If we put all that together...
In the next couple of years.
In the next couple of years. So, we had, I read a number, 13,000 humanoid robots produced last year, 25. So we might have some tens of thousands or 100,000.
I think that was China alone, right?
That might be China alone. Alone. But they build most of them anyway. So and next year we might have a couple of tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands. But as soon as we get to the real scale, like Optimus starting scale production in next year, maybe. So this is going to be $14 per hour as robot as a service. But no matter what it is a lot cheaper than human labor. and it will eat up the work, starting from low complexity work to higher complexity work in the course of time. So it's pretty reasonable to assume that in the course of the next 10 or 15 years, 60 to 80% of human jobs, of today's human jobs, are not going to be done by humans anymore. And
You're being optimistic.
I would bet money on it, and I am betting money on it. So there are many people who say that there will be no jobs left, but it's not just about the technological capabilities and possibilities and viabilities. It's also about human habits and human acceptance, human adoption. So we're pretty slow in adopting new technologies. Companies will not have any choice not to use humanoid robots and AI, but depending on the profession and on the industry, it's not going to happen overnight. But it's going to happen much faster than usually people assume. So Europe got a wake-up call by the behavior of the present US administration. It might turn out to be good for Europe, although we're really blasted by this brazenness and this craziness, but it might turn out to be a good wake-up call and to start a catharsis of Europe in terms of defense, in terms of sovereignty and independence, and so on. There is not a shred of a hope that such a company would grow in Europe as Tesla is doing. So if we make it to own language models and multimodal models and maybe own world models, we're pretty okay. We're pretty fine. So we will be cooperating for decades to come, which is good. In terms of societal peace and potential upheaval, I subscribe to what I think Mo Gaudat said that we're going to have a pretty rough 10, 15, 20 years. I subscribe to the aspiration that we're all going to live in abundance, but the period between now and then is going to be as hard as it used to be 200 years ago when we had the Luddites, and it all ended up in revolution starting in 1848. So it's going to be a rough time. Not because there is not a possibility. The CEO of Lemonade just introduced a concept for universal high income, but it's not the question of the concepts. The problem is our short-sightedness. Our mind our brain is biochemically built to live in the here and now. We're not built to think and act for the future, really. We do.
Only Tesla investors are.
Pardon?
Only Tesla investors are.
Only Tesla investors are. Why? Why? Because our potential richness is emotionally important, and then you balance the short-sightedness with the emotional importance of the future. And if you have that, then you become long-sighted. But if you hate what is coming, then it's negatively emotionally important, and so you stick to what is to what you're used to. So there is no way there's no way. We will not make it without any frictions and without any conflict, and I hope we will make it without civil wars.
Is there anything in the past, in our collective past as a species, that we can compare to and learn from and I don't know, maybe prep for?
If we compress 100 years into 3 or 5, yes, but at that pace, never.
The pace seems to be the bigger problem.
The pace and the magnitude, both together, is the speed and the magnitude, because it's we're doubling AI capabilities in hardware and software every couple of months, sometimes even weeks. And that's the singularity. One way to define the singularity is when humans lose control and lose understanding of what is happening. You can view the singularity in that way, and that is already happening. Many people around us, they've lost control, they've lost understanding of what is happening.
Would you agree, Brian?
Yes, I would agree. That's a very useful definition about what's happening. Even though people talk about the geopolitics of it, and it is a singular thing, a singular individual and a singular company. Yes, he's leading, a staff of 100,000 people and all that kind of stuff. But it is Elon, and he is, people don't like to ascribe to the great man theory of history, but what I say, is what it is, right? And it's like, so the 100 years you're compressing in history is the Industrial Revolution. The 100, 200 years of the Industrial Revolution, you're compressing into about 10 years. And then you're having back to back to back one Industrial Revolution after another, right? That's what we're going into. So we're getting the first 10 years of that. And he is Edison, Rockefeller, and all those other guys combined. And then, so we say it's the US pulling away, but it's Elon pulling this company, pulling the United States ahead, and other allies. So other allies being the ones who can supply energy, like the deals in the Middle East to supply energy. And then the concerns about the Thermopolis or whatever.
The Thucydides trap.
The Thucydides trap.
Yeah.
Which is that, but the thing is, there is no Thucydides trap if number one outgrows number two.
Yeah,
And
Brian is referring to the
5.4%.
US-China inevitable face-off. China being, I think, the only other dominant player other than the US, and US because of the circumstances that Brian just laid out. But to your point, Brian, I think so. It's important also while we look at Elon and the magnitude and just how profound he is as an individual to the interests of America and its allies. You also have to take it into account the other side, which is China. And what the Chinese nation has been able to achieve is phenomenal.
Right.
In its ability to emulate, to evolve, to innovate, and to just, because of the way they are structured, to be able to focus so much of resource into a particular direction of their choice or a particular target of their choice.
Yes, so they're good. I say that they're good, right? And I've written all about how great they are. But this instance, in this particular moment in time, no one else has Starship. SpaceX Starship is needed to get to launching 1,000 times more stuff into space. And then people say, well, they'll catch up. But they're 10 years behind on getting to an orbital class booster landing and reuse. Falcon 9, 10 years ago, have been doing. We've done 600 launches since then, right? The only other company that's landed an orbital class booster is Blue Origin. They landed one, and they have not relaunched it, right? When I roll them forward based on the construction path, they may get to 50 launches and landings in 2030 if everything goes perfect, right? So they are 5 years behind at least, right? Because SpaceX did 170 Falcon 9s, right? So even though we can, yes, once China gets going, they will be a top competitor, but they will take them, if they were to throw everything at it, speed up everything, 5 years to get a working Starship.
Yeah, 5 years is a long time.
Right. This is like a Manhattan Project to get a nuclear bomb thing. 5 years to get Starship, or they throw everything at it. Same thing for any other country, right? It is that important, right? Because just like Europe made Airbus and copied 747, that took 2-3 decades or whatever to do it, right? But it is that important for them to do it. So
to your point, Brian, is there any other country
to do what?
That is capable of that? That is capable of emulating what China is trying to do?
Any
Forget
company,
America,
any country could be capable of doing it, but they have to do it. No one has started. No one's there. No one said, this is, like Google and OpenAI put out their company-wide red alerts to do this. Europe is debating these things. Where's the red alert? Where's the red alert that we have to make a Starship? Airbus, the Airbus Ventures, the guys who are running that company, they put up PowerPoints and say how they can't make it. They were denying they're going to do reusability because they would reduce their staff. And then they finally say, now we have a tiny little, like smaller than Falcon 9 version of something that's going to do up and down launches. That won't be ready for maybe 10 years, right? So there are the people within Europe. I've talked to, space guys like at Sidereus Space doing single stage launches. I mean, there's people who could do it, but they're not. When they raise money, they tell, oh, you're too audacious, you're too whatever, dial it back, do these other things. So they get told not to do it, right? And they say, well, I got to do it. I got to move to the United States, right? So the European rocket people who are smart enough end up going to the United States, right? Because they can't do it. So, and then China can do it, but to the point, they have not done it. They have not made a Falcon 9 reusable booster. That's first step. Then you make your Starship, right? So there's these two major things that are the core technology for this thing, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want to build the full stack of launch, chips, all these things, again, Elon is uniquely positioned with these three companies to do it. Going back to what we talked at the beginning, these three things are coming together, and he's vertically stacking it so he can make it all. And he has key advantages that no one else has. People can copy it. There is no scenario that I can see where they compete in any meaningful way in the next 10 years, maybe even 15 years by 2040. In order to get to that point, they have to fully commit to trillions of dollars in a 1,000x Manhattan project to do it. Where it's like everything that we're doing is for, and I was showing you the money about the mobilization. It is literally a mobilization to AI, the AI world, right? So people can talk about debate, is China's open source AI, is it better? Irrelevant, because I need to have insane amounts of energy to run insane amounts of AI. So even if your lab scale at a gigawatt level AI is great, doesn't matter. I have a terawatt of AI. My terawatt of AI crushes your 1 gigawatt of AI. So we're going to insane scales. So the boldness has to happen. If you do not have the boldness, the commitment to go all in, you can't commit. It's like
it's already too late. It's already too late.
It was too late, but you want to get in the game. If you want to get in the game, you have to spend 10, 15 years to do it. It's like, it's worth it. You have to do it. But then you admit, I'm behind. I need to do this. We need to stop debating about it. And then we have to mobilize all of our financial level. Just like, the military mobilization is, I take 40% of my economy and I put it into that, right? That is what we're talking about. Right now, Europe is participating and the other countries are participating via investment, but then again, they're holding back. They're not like saying, I'm unleashing all my money to go with this thing too, right? You can participate that way and they spend the money. But it's like, it is a level of Elon's dragging the United States to mobilization, right? Because we're talking about merging these companies together so he can spend trillions of dollars, debt and finance, to do this thing. Right? $1 trillion per year to do this thing. So that's the difference. Is like, people say, oh, we spent $400 billion per year, all this AI. We're going up 10x, 100x, right? All the stuff that you said with the bubble last year that's just the ante. That was just me now I'm loading up on even more money. I'm stacking up the chips to do this thing. And people, so anyway, sorry.
No, absolutely. I love your passion, Brian.
Yeah.
And I know that which is why I value every single time we get a chat with you. And
Okay.
Mero, thank you so much. We'll have to wrap it up here. But it's been wonderful. We're going to get together every Friday for our audience. There's going to be some very interesting people joining us in the subsequent chats, and hopefully we'll have Pero for as many as possible, and Brian as well. But we're going to chart the path to singularity and try and make sense of what we're experiencing, what we're seeing, how our lives are changing, how our world is changing. Try and make sense of it and look at it dispassionately from all angles. And we'll have people from China, from Europe, from America. I'm here in the Middle East. So the world in one place in so many ways. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Such a pleasure to chat with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.